We are all emotional beings, but we're also social beings. By nature, we are designed to be in groups with other people. If you feel as if your emotions are muted or turned down, then this could be an aftermath of trauma. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Elmira Strange. I'm a psychologist, and in today's video we are talking about trauma and the aftermath of trauma. And more specifically, we are talking about emotional numbness or disconnection from feelings, emotions as a result of some traumatic event in your life. And this event could be something that you remember clearly that happened in your childhood or your teenage years or even adulthood. Or it could be something that you hardly remember, but nevertheless you know that it affected you. For example, it could be a death of someone close in your family, or it could be some accident. There are many examples that we can bring here to acknowledge what we call a traumatic event. But the main thing is to realize that we all get affected by various situations in life, especially when they are traumatic. The interesting thing or curious thing is that some people might look at it and not be affected so much by what happened, and they might not even understand you. But if you got affected by something that happened in your past, that means it was significant, it was traumatic, and your emotions are valid. And this is what you need to acknowledge. Whatever you feel is real. Whatever you feel, you need to work through. But let's have a look at what is emotional numbness and why this happens. Emotional numbness in psychology is the experience of feeling disconnected from your emotions, as though you are detached from your own feelings or the world around you. It's as if you're a spectator of your own life rather than a participant. And this response often occurs in the aftermath of trauma, whether it's from abuse, loss, grief, or any overwhelming emotional experience. It's a way for the mind and body to protect themselves from feelings that are too intense or difficult to process. But over time, if you don't do anything, that numbing can become problematic. It leads to emotional disconnection and isolation, so all your relationships will be affected with other people. Or in other words, you can feel so disconnected from the world around you that you will be staying away from social gatherings, from meeting new people, from forming romantic relationships or finding new friendships. You will feel disconnected, and even though from one side you might feel that it's a good thing that you're staying away from people because you're safer, because this is what your mind is telling you, especially when it went already through something traumatic. But in the end of the day, becoming more and more isolated is not great for our mental health and well-being. And we know that in psychology as the facts. We are all emotional beings, but we're also social beings. By nature, we are designed to be in groups with other people. So we need to have live connections, not only through social media or through WhatsApp, occasional WhatsApp. And here's some interesting fact for you. Studies have shown that emotional numbness is closely linked to dissociation, which is a psychological defense mechanism where the person disconnects from their emotions or even their sense of self. And this can also lead to long-term issues such as depression, anxiety, and post-traumatic stress disorder. So how does emotional numbness manifest? When we experience trauma, especially early in life, the brain and nervous system react in a way that shuts down emotional processing to protect us from being overwhelmed. So this is how it manifests in various ways. The process. First of all, it's the detachment from self. This is where you might feel disconnected from your own body or emotions, where you experience a sense of being outside of yourself. This is often a protective mechanism that keeps you from confronting overwhelming pain. You don't even want to remember, you don't even want to go there. So secondly, perhaps you have difficulty in experiencing any really deep emotion like joy or sadness. And this would affect your ability to feel various emotions, positive and negative. So it's difficult to experience happiness, love, or even sadness. If you feel as if your emotions are muted or turned down, then this could be an aftermath of trauma. And also, of course, it can lead to withdrawal from relationships, from friendships, can lead to isolation, because you cannot feel that you can express your emotions, that you can trust. You might feel that it's really hard to connect with others. Then the relationships that you form, they will just feel flat. And this will make you want to avoid social interactions altogether. And also, trauma-induced numbness results in apathy. This is a sense of indifference towards life, goals, and daily activities. So you might struggle with feeling motivated or invested in life in general. Why does trauma lead to emotional numbness? Well, the connection lies in the way trauma affects the nervous system and the brain. When we experience something traumatic, the body's fight or flight response kicks in. So we know it's a survival mechanism designed to protect us from immediate danger. However, when the trauma is prolonged or overwhelming, like abuse, like loss, or emotional neglect, the nervous system doesn't just shut off, it can disconnect. And this is what you might experience. This disconnection is known as dissociation. It's a form of emotional numbness that occurs when the mind cannot process trauma in a healthy way. Polyvagal theory, which I talk about in one of my other videos, helps to explain why this happens. According to this theory, when the body feels unsafe, it may activate the freeze response, leading to a complete emotional shutdown. So this allows the person to survive the traumatic experience by disconnecting from the pain. But the cost is emotional numbness. So when the body enters the freeze state, which is often associated with trauma, it essentially pauses our emotional response. So we don't have to respond to it. We can just remain in that freeze state, which feels safe, but it's numb. And that vague nerve that we are talking about, it plays a major role in regulating our emotional and physical responses because they become dysregulated. As a result, feelings of numbness or detachment sets in, keeping us from fully experiencing our emotions. And here is the Islamic view on trauma and numbness. Islam acknowledges the emotional struggles and difficulties that human beings face. While emotional numbness is not specifically mentioned in the Quran or Hadith, Islamic teachings provide important insights into healing emotional wounds and reconnecting with ourselves, especially when we deal with trauma. For example, one of the key Islamic insights on overcoming numbness would be seeking Allah's help in times of hardship. Islam encourages us to turn to Allah for support and healing. When we trust that whatever is happening, that is a part of the whole plan, that we don't understand, we don't see it fully. But when we believe that, when we trust that, and when we seek Allah's guidance, Allah's mercy, Allah's protection, that can help us to face our emotional struggles with patience and faith. And secondly, in Islam, we are encouraged to be aware of our inner state and to nurture the soul through reflection. Self-awareness is the first step towards healing in any kind of psychology. And the Quran encourages us to reflect upon our emotional and spiritual state. We know that Allah knows everything. He knows us intimately, including our inner struggles. So when we trust Allah, seek inner peace, when we talk out loud about our problems, our emotions during prayers, after prayers, in this way we can heal and overcome emotional numbness. And thirdly, in Islamic psychology, we are encouraged to heal through connection with other people, even though we want to stay away from other people. But actually, there is the importance of community and support in times of hardship. And Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, the believers are like one body. When one part of the body hurts, the whole body feels it. So in Islam, community support plays a significant role in healing, reconnecting with others, finding those who can give you emotional support, whether it's your family or friends or broader Muslim community. This actually can be very, very healing when it comes to emotional numbness. So here's some practical steps that you can do in order to heal that emotional numbness. First of all, for example, practice mindful and deep breathing. Because what happens is that when we experience trauma, we get stuck in this state of freeze, being frozen, disconnected. And because of that, it affects our breathing. It becomes more shallow. Over long term, even years, we actually breathe very shallow. And that's not great, because in order to experience full healing and where we allow our emotions to surface, in order to accept, to feel them, to let them go, we actually need to experience that mindful, deep breathing. And secondly, we are encouraged to practice self-compassion and love towards ourselves, forgiving ourselves for the mistakes that we all did as teenagers, even as adults. I want you to remember that in most cases, if not all, we did the best we knew how in that situation. We didn't know any other way. We thought that we are doing the right thing. That would apply to 99% of cases. And now, looking back, you're thinking, I should have done this differently. But at that time, you didn't think like that. You didn't have that viewpoint that you have right now. You didn't have perhaps a level of maturity that you have right now. And that's what you need to accept with full awareness and let go. Let go of that viewpoint that you should have done something better. You did, you knew how. And as always, I encourage to engage in writing, journaling, because this is a really great tool for expressing your emotions, for working through your emotions. And if you don't know what to write about, just sit down and start with some question. What it is I'm feeling right now? What do I think about myself? What do I think about that situation that happened to me? What memories that situation brings to me? What it is important to know today? What I wish would happen in my life? Any question like that can start the ball rolling, as we say. It can start with the whole process of working through your emotions and feelings, and you will be surprised how much it can come out from you. You didn't even know how much we store inside of us, emotions, feelings, and inner dialogue, which we don't even listen. Of course, if you are engaging in daily prayers, then make it even more important. And have conversations open and fully if you can. Even talk out loud when you are praying, when you're talking to Allah, and give all your worries and concerns and ask for help with overcoming those emotions that are brought by something what happened in the past, to release, to accept, to forgive. Because in the end of the day, you're not doing it for other people. You're doing it only for yourself, for your own healing. And finally, of course, if you're struggling to do it alone, then seek therapy, the right therapist for you, especially those that specialize in trauma-informed therapy, those experienced therapists that can literally take your hand and lead you through those memory lanes that might be painful to go through alone. Well, I hope you've learned some interesting things from both psychological theories and some Islamic viewpoints during this video. I hope you can now practice some mindfulness and deep breathing, and perhaps journaling as well. Try to find community that is supportive and people who can help you to feel emotionally supported. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in one of my next videos.